The night split open with a deafening roar as lightning tore across the blackened sky, its violent glow casting jagged shadows across the ruined citadel. "The sorcerer," Elias said. "I swore I would never bend to this darkness," his voice trembling with fury and despair. His oath, bound by ancient flame, cracked like shattered glass within his chest as crimson energy spiraled uncontrollably from his hands. Aria, her emerald eyes glistening with tears, whispered, "If you do this, you'll lose everything." The storm howled around them, ripping stone from the earth, flames consuming towers in a blaze of ruin. The air shimmered with forbidden magic, suffocating and alive, choking the night with dread. Elias staggered forward, each step breaking him, yet his heart tethered to the woman before him. She reached out, desperate, trembling, her hand barely brushing his. In that instant, their love collided with fate's cruel decree, and the oath that held their world together splintered forever. The ruins smoldered in silence after the storm's fury, ash falling like dead snow across the broken stone. Elias stood alone among the wreckage, chest heaving, hands scorched by his own magic. His oath's fragments burned against his skin, each ember a reminder of his betrayal. He whispered to himself, "The bond is broken, and so is the world." Aria lay unconscious nearby, her body fragile against the shattered floor, silver sparks faintly glowing at her fingertips. The air felt heavy, as if the gods themselves mourned the oath undone. Distant echoes of laughter, cold and cruel, rippled through the darkness, the unseen enemies savoring the ruin. Elias clenched his fists, his jaw set with anguish, for he knew this was only the beginning. Aria awoke with a sudden gasp, her chest rising sharply as though dragged from drowning. She whispered, "Elias, what have you done?" Her voice was frail, trembling with grief. Elias turned, his face pale and shadowed, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. He said, "I swore never to break it, yet love tore the vow apart." Aria's gaze softened with sorrow, though fear trembled beneath her lashes. The storm had passed, yet its echo lingered in the hollow air, vibrating with the curse's awakening. Each breath between them was heavy, laden with the knowledge that the world itself had shifted, and nothing could return to what was lost. A hollow wind carried the scent of burnt stone as Elias lifted Aria gently, his arms trembling from exhaustion. She pressed her hand weakly against his chest, whispering, "The curse is awake. We have little time." His eyes burned with regret as he whispered, "Then I will fight until nothing is left of me." She shook her head faintly, tears sliding across her dirt-streaked cheeks, saying, "Your fight is not enough. You are bound now, bound to me and to the breaking." The world around them creaked with unsettling groans, as though the ruins themselves warned of darker forces stirring. From the shadows of the ruins, a voice slithered like venom, smooth and mocking. The unseen enemy said, "So the mighty oath is broken, and the world unravels with it." Elias set Aria down, shielding her with his weary frame, crimson sparks flickering from his fingertips. His breath was shallow, but his resolve sharp. Aria's eyes widened with fear, for she knew the voice well, a memory buried deep in nightmares. She whispered, "He comes for you, Elias." The night grew colder, the air thick with dread, and within the darkened haze, a figure began to emerge, cloaked in malice, a shadow born of their broken vow. The forest beyond the ruins whispered with a chilling wind, branches groaning like restless spirits. Elias pressed forward, supporting Aria as she leaned heavily against him, her strength fading with each step. She whispered, "This path, it is forbidden, Elias." He answered through clenched teeth, "So is our love, yet still it burns." The trees stretched endlessly, their roots glowing faintly, as if pulsing with ancient veins of magic. Distant shadows flickered, watching them with silent menace. Each stride carried them deeper into lands where no oath-bearer should tread. Elias felt the weight of unseen eyes pressing into his back, and though his body weakened, his heart clung to her presence beside him. Somewhere in the darkness, the echoes of the curse stirred, promising ruin if they faltered. A soft light flickered ahead, guiding them into a hollow where a small fire crackled. From its warmth emerged an older figure cloaked in gray, the mentor, a man weathered with age and wisdom. He said, "Elias, your oath was not yours to break." Elias tightened his hold on Aria, anger rising. He replied, "Then curse me, for I chose her over eternity." The mentor's gaze lingered on Aria, sorrow lining his eyes, before turning back to Elias with pity. "The path ahead will demand more than choice. It will demand everything." The fire hissed, sparks lifting like fading stars, as the forest around them closed tighter, warning of the unseen trials to come. Aria stirred, her voice trembling as she faced the mentor. "You knew this curse would find us, didn't you?" The old man bowed his head, eyes heavy with regret. "Every oath has a price, child." Elias' anger flared. "Then why hide it from me?" His voice cracked with pain, the sound echoing against the hollow trees. The mentor replied softly, "Because love blinds even the wisest, and I feared you would choose it over duty." Aria's hand brushed Elias's arm, her touch grounding his fury with fragile tenderness. For a moment, silence held them, broken only by the hiss of the fire, as all three carried the weight of truths too heavy to bear. From the shadows, a laugh rang out, sharp, mocking, alive with cruelty. The forest grew colder, the fire's light shrinking as if consumed by unseen hands. Elias pulled Aria closer, crimson sparks dancing from his palm. The mentor's voice lowered. "He follows." Aria's breath quickened, fear tightening her chest. "The enemy will not stop," she whispered. Elias raised his chin, defiance burning in his eyes. "Then let him come. I will burn the night before I yield." The forest floor trembled, branches shaking, as if heralding the dark presence drawing near. Between the trees, glowing eyes emerged, their hunger fixed upon the broken sorcerer and his forbidden love. The trees shook violently as the antagonist stepped forward, cloaked in black, his face hidden in shadow. He said, "Your oath was the last thread holding this world together, Elias." The words dripped like venom, heavy with triumph. Elias set his jaw, fury etched into his every line. Aria whispered, "Don't listen, his voice carries poison." The mentor stepped between them, staff raised, his eyes sharp with ancient fire. "You will not claim them tonight," he said. The enemy laughed, a hollow sound that made the flames dim. Darkness crept closer, curling like smoke, and in that moment, the fragile safety of the fire felt doomed to fail. The night thickened as the antagonist vanished into the forest shadows, leaving a suffocating silence in his wake. Elias dropped to his knees, chest heaving, the crimson glow on his hands fading but leaving painful burns. Aria knelt beside him, her voice fragile. "He seeks to unravel us, Elias." He answered through clenched teeth, "Then let him unravel the stars before he touches you." The mentor pressed his staff into the ground, weary eyes clouded with dread. "This is only the beginning. The oath's breaking has set loose what even I cannot bind again." The forest groaned, roots cracking under the weight of unseen forces, while the fire guttered low, its embers glowing like dying hope. Aria leaned into Elias, her fingers trembling as she touched the burns across his hands. "You cannot fight him like this," she whispered, fear heavy in her voice. Elias's jaw tightened as he pulled away, ashamed of his weakness. "I cannot stop," he said, his tone hard, though his eyes betrayed his breaking resolve. The mentor sighed, stepping closer, his voice low. "There is a way, but the cost will be more than you wish to pay." Elias raised his head sharply, defiance flaring. "What more can he take from me? I've lost everything already." Yet deep in his heart, the truth clawed mercilessly. He had not lost Aria, and losing her would shatter him more than the oath ever could. The mentor lifted his staff, its crystal faintly glowing with blue fire. "There is a hidden temple beyond these woods," he said, his voice steady. "It holds the remnants of forgotten magic that may shield you, but it is guarded by truths you may not wish to face." Elias steadied himself, pulling Aria to her feet, determination burning faintly through his exhaustion. He said, "Then we walk into truth, no matter the cost." Aria's gaze lingered on him, filled with sorrow and fierce love. "If the truth destroys us, Elias, will you still choose me?" His silence was an answer in itself, heavier than any vow, as the forest seemed to close around them like a waiting tomb. The path twisted into shadows, their steps swallowed by the ancient forest. The air grew heavy, alive with whispers not their own, each murmur clawing at their fears. Aria's hand gripped Elias's arm, her voice trembling. "Do you hear them?" He nodded, crimson sparks flickering faintly from his fingertips. "They are the echoes of what we've broken." The mentor's face tightened as he walked ahead, his staff glowing brighter. "This place feeds on secrets," he warned, "and it will strip them bare." The voices grew clearer, whispers of betrayal and loss that pressed deep into their hearts. For Elias, the sound was a mirror of his own guilt, reminding him of the vow he could never mend. From the trees ahead stepped a figure cloaked in black and silver, his presence heavy with both familiarity and dread. Aria froze, breath caught in her throat. Elias' heart sank as recognition struck. "No," he whispered, voice breaking. The fallen hero, once his brother in arms, now stood corrupted, eyes hollow yet burning with grief. "Elias," the man said, his tone filled with sorrow, "you were never meant to carry her light." Aria's hand fell from Elias's arm, her face pale with shock. The mentor's staff shook faintly, his eyes narrowed. The forest held its breath, silence weighing like stone, as the past returned to fracture the fragile bond between love and destiny. The fallen hero's presence poisoned the clearing, his voice dripping with regret twisted into cruelty. Elias' heart cracked as he whispered, "Dorian, you were my brother once." The man's hollow eyes glowed faintly as he replied, "And still I am, but bound to chains you cannot break." Aria's trembling hand found Elias, her fear unmistakable, yet her love undeniable. The mentor raised his staff warily, muttering, "His heart is lost to the curse's grip." Dorian's voice thundered with anguish, "No curse is greater than betrayal, Elias. You chose her and left me to fall." The forest groaned as shadows writhed around him, answering his fury with living darkness that pressed against them all. Elias stepped forward, his voice raw. "You were never abandoned, Dorian. You chose this path." The fallen hero sneered, his pain sharpened into venom. "I chose survival when you chose love." Aria's green eyes glistened with tears as she whispered, "This is not you, Dorian." His face twisted, the scar across his cheek burning like fire. "Do not speak her name, Aria," he spat, his body trembling with inner torment. The mentor struck his staff against the ground, sparks of blue fire igniting the air. "He cannot be saved tonight," he warned. The forest pulsed with malice, feeding on the tension, as destiny forced brotherhood into bitter ruin. The ground split beneath them, roots twisting upward like serpents, trapping their feet. Dorian laughed bitterly. "The forest knows truth. It sees your lies, Elias." Elias struggled against the vines, crimson sparks scorching the roots. Aria cried out, "Stop this, both of you." Her voice carried desperation, trembling with love and terror. Dorian's gaze locked onto her, pain flickering in his hollow eyes. "He does not deserve you," he growled. The mentor's voice thundered, "The curse feeds your envy, Dorian. Fight it before it devours what remains of you." For a moment, silence cut the chaos, Dorian's expression torn between hatred and the ghost of the man he once was. Dorian's shadowy aura erupted, hurling Elias backward, his body striking the earth with a sickening thud. Aria screamed, rushing toward him, but the mentor blocked her path. "Do not," he warned. "The curse will bind you too." Elias groaned, rising slowly, defiance burning in his eyes. He spat blood and whispered, "If I must fall, then I fall with her." Dorian's face twisted with grief, his voice cracking. "Then fall into ruin, Elias, for love was always your weakness." The storm above cracked open, lightning striking the trees, the forest itself tearing under the weight of their collision. Their bond was tested not by choice, but by fate's cruel demand for sacrifice. As the storm's fury raged, a new presence entered, subtle yet unsettling. The shapeshifter emerged from the shadows, their form shifting between male and female, face blurred like mist. Their voice was smooth, chilling. All truths are lies in the end. Aria froze, clutching Elias's arm, while Dorian's fury dimmed, confusion flickering across his hollow eyes. The mentor gripped his staff, growling, "You should not be here." The shapeshifter smiled faintly, eyes glinting. "And yet here I am, a mirror to what you fear most." The clearing grew colder, silence thick, as trust fractured further, every soul wondering if the new arrival was a lie or executioner. The clearing trembled as the shapeshifter stepped closer, their form rippling like liquid light, shifting between familiar faces and strangers alike. Elias steadied himself, his burned hands trembling. "Enough tricks," he growled, though his voice faltered. Aria clutched his arm, whispering, "It wears the faces we fear most." The shapeshifter smirked, eyes glinting like shattered glass. "And what if I wear the truth instead?" Dorian staggered back, confusion twisting his hollow expression. "You mock what I lost," he said bitterly. The mentor's staff pulsed with blue fire, his voice thunderous. "Deceiver, your lies unraveled destiny's threads." The forest grew colder, and every shadow stretched toward them, as if eager to consume their fragile unity. The shapeshifter's form solidified, revealing a familiar shape. Elias himself, his double standing in cruel perfection. Aria gasped, her heart wrenching as she whispered, "Elias?" The real Elias stepped forward, fury in his eyes. "I am no reflection of your deceit." The copy sneered, crimson sparks dancing from its hands. "Yet I am the oath you broke, the vow you betrayed." Dorian's gaze darkened with rage and grief. "Do you see, Elias? Even your shadows despise you." The mentor's face grew grim, his staff trembling faintly, as if weighed by the truth. The forest fell silent, each sound stolen as the false Elias raised his hand, crimson energy flaring with dangerous promise. The false Elias struck first, crimson lightning exploding from his hands, crashing into the ground at Aria's feet. She screamed, falling backward, silver sparks flaring weakly from her trembling palms. The real Elias rushed forward, his own crimson magic clashing violently with the impostor's. The air screamed with power, sparks slicing through the mist. Dorian stepped aside, torn between hatred and recognition, his voice hoarse. "This is what love makes of you." The mentor gritted his teeth, thrusting his staff down, blue fire weaving barriers to shield Aria. The clash echoed like thunder, the world itself groaning beneath the weight of oath and betrayal colliding in one brutal storm. The forest tore apart as roots splintered, trees bending under the force of clashing powers. Aria crawled toward Elias, her voice breaking. "Stop please, or it will consume you both." Elias gritted his teeth, every muscle straining as crimson fire raged in his veins. The impostor smirked, its voice twisted. "She fears you, Elias, as she should." Aria's green eyes filled with anguish, tears streaking down her dirt-stained face. "I fear losing you, not your power." The mentor's staff blazed brighter, forcing shadows back. Dorian clenched his fists, shadows writhing around him as he whispered, "Why does her love redeem you, and not me?" The words lingered like poison as darkness pressed closer. The battle's crescendo shattered as the shapeshifter's form faltered, flickering between Elias and faceless mist. With a guttural cry, Elias surged forward, crimson fire crashing into the impostor's chest. The figure collapsed, writhing as its body dissolved into black smoke. Aria rushed to Elias, gripping his arm, her voice urgent. "You're breaking yourself to save me." He met her gaze, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. "Then let me break, if it means you endure." Dorian's hollow eyes dimmed, his rage wavering, sorrow bleeding through. The mentor whispered under his breath, Every vow unravels more than fate itself. The forest fell silent, yet the curse's shadow loomed heavier, promising the true cost was yet to come. The forest split open into a valley of ruin, charred earth stretching beneath a blood-red sky. Elias staggered forward, his breath ragged, crimson burns glowing along his arms. Aria clung to him, whispering, "You cannot keep bleeding yourself like this." His voice shook but carried resolve. "If it breaks me, so be it." Dorian followed at a distance, shadows coiling tighter around him, his eyes a battlefield of hatred and grief. The mentor leaned heavily on his staff, voice somber. "Curse nears its peak. Its hunger will devour all unless one of you yields." The air vibrated with dread, thunder rolling low, as the valley became the stage for fate's cruelest trial. The valley pulsed as the antagonist emerged, his figure cloaked in black eyes burning with cold fire. He raised a hand, and the ground split into jagged fissures of glowing red. "The oath is dust," he said, his tone sharp with triumph. Elias stepped forward, crimson fire dancing from his fists, though his body shook with strain. "Then I'll fight as dust if I must," he growled. Aria's eyes widened in terror as she whispered, "He will kill you, Elias." Dorian snarled, torn between rage and envy, his voice hoarse. "Do you think your love makes you stronger? It only weakens you." The mentor lifted his staff, blue fire clashing with red light as the storm thickened overhead. Lightning crashed as the antagonist unleashed a torrent of shadow fire, tearing across the valley. Elias countered with a blast of crimson energy, the collision echoing like thunder, shaking the earth. Aria screamed, silver sparks bursting from her fingertips, shielding them for a fleeting instant. The mentor forced his staff into the ground, blue fire forming protective barriers around them, his face strained with effort. Dorian's voice broke through the chaos, raw and aching. "This is what you chose, Elias, to burn us all for her." Elias roared, his voice defiant. "I chose love, and I will bleed the world if it means she survives." The valley split wider, swallowing ruins whole. The valley howled with collapsing earth as the antagonist's laughter echoed. Aria stumbled, her silver sparks flaring wildly. Elias caught her, whispering through clenched teeth, "Stay with me." She answered, trembling, "I cannot hold much longer." Dorian stepped forward, fury burning in his hollow eyes. "If you won't save her, Elias, then I will, even if she hates me for it." His shadows surged, striking against the antagonist with violent force. For a fleeting moment, light and dark clashed in chaotic unity. The mentor's voice shook as he cried, "This is the curse's design, to pit love against loyalty until nothing remains." Above them, the storm cracked open, revealing a void of endless night. The antagonist staggered back, his cloak shredded by Dorian's strike, but his laugh remained cruel. "You fight against destiny itself," he sneered. Elias rose, his eyes blazing, crimson fire burning brighter, though his body faltered. "Then destiny will burn with me." Aria reached for him, her tears glowing silver under the storm's light. "Elias, don't. You'll lose yourself." He kissed her hand briefly, whispering, "I already did, the moment I loved you." Dorian's face cracked with grief, shadows swirling violently as he shouted, "If you fall, Elias, then I fall too." The mentor raised his staff high, blue fire erupting as the valley prepared for its final storm of sacrifice. The storm reached its peak, tearing open the valley with endless night above. Elias stood tall, though trembling, crimson fire roaring from his veins. The antagonist raised his arms, shadows writhing into a monstrous form that blotted out the sky. Aria clung to Elias, her tears glowing silver, whispering, "Do not give yourself away." He pressed his forehead to hers, whispering, "If I fall, it will be for you." Dorian stepped forward, shadows swirling wildly, torn between hatred and love, his voice cracking. "If you burn, Elias, then I burn beside you." The mentor lifted his staff high, blue flames spiraling upward, shouting, "This is the hour. Choose your fate." The valley quaked as light and shadow collided in fury. The antagonist unleashed a tidal wave of shadow fire, tearing through the valley. Elias roared, summoning every ember of crimson left within him, meeting it head-on. The collision shattered the air, sending shockwaves that splintered the ground. Aria fell to her knees, silver sparks pouring from her palms as she cried out, "Take me instead!" Elias turned to her, panic breaking through his fury. "No, Aria, you are the light that holds me." Dorian thrust his shadows forward, his voice torn with agony. "Then let me be the one who falls," the mentor shouted, voice echoing like thunder. "Only love can sever the curse, and only sacrifice will end it." The valley burned with unbearable light. The clash tore open the sky, revealing void beyond the storm. Elias faltered, his body cracking with crimson fissures, blood searing through his burns. Aria rushed forward, gripping his arm, crying, "I cannot lose you." He whispered weakly, "You already have me, forever." Dorian staggered closer, grief on his scarred face, shadows breaking apart as he shouted, "Let me bear this curse instead." For the first time, the antagonist hesitated, eyes narrowing as if sensing weakness in the bond. The mentor's voice thundered, "The oath binds all of you. Only one may bear its breaking." The moment froze, every heart suspended, as destiny demanded its price. With a final cry, Elias tore himself free from Aria's grasp, stepping into the heart of the storm. Crimson and silver light erupted as he raised his arms, his voice steady. "I break the oath, and I bind it to myself alone." Aria screamed his name, her voice breaking with grief, silver sparks flooding the air. The antagonist snarled, his form unraveling as the curse was ripped from him, shrieking like 1,000 voices. Dorian collapsed, shadows vanishing from his body as he whispered, "He chose love over all else." The mentor lowered his staff, blue flames dimming, tears shining in his weary eyes. The valley dissolved into searing light as Elias's sacrifice ignited the world. Silence fell as the storm faded, leaving the valley scorched and still. Aria knelt in the ashes, her gown torn, her face streaked with tears. In her hands lay Elias, his body fragile, eyes half closed. He smiled faintly, whispering, "Love was always my oath." Her sobs echoed, silver sparks dissolving into the wind. The mentor stood behind her, sorrow etched into his lined face, murmuring, "He gave all, so we may endure." Dorian knelt at Elias's side, his scarred face broken, whispering, "Brother, forgive me." The valley glowed with faint light, as if mourning. Aria kissed Elias' lips softly, whispering, "You are eternal in me." The final ember faded, but love lingered like immortal fire.